Hey guys, OG Albine here, bringing you guys my week 3 battle for the UPBA as we take on Gray and his Los Angeles Valienteis. Gray is the commissioner of the league, real cool dude, so if you haven't checked him out, definitely be sure to check him out and all the other coaches in the description below. But yeah, with that being said, let's just jump right in. Right off the bat, this is a very, very important game. Unfortunately, if you haven't caught our first two battles, we did start the season 0-2, which is definitely less than desired. We want to, definitely this week is very important to jump on the right foot. 0-3 is very hard to come back from. 1-2 is doable. So I definitely went in on prep this week, and we kind of had to because this matchup sucks. I'm not a fan of it at all. Let's just get into that. If you did forget, our team consists of the Aegislash, Mega Gallade, Suicune, Sylveon, Decidueye, Diggersby, Aerodactyl, Hydreigon, Garbodor, and Combustion. Our Z users being Hydreigon and Decidueye, while our opponent's team consists of the Mega Latias, Clefable, Heatran, Keldeo, Crobat, UPBA, Unbound, Rotom-Mow, Gligar, Crustle, Dusclops, and Heatmore. I believe the Z users being Heatran, Rotom-Mow, and one other. I forget. No, it is just the Heatran and the Rotom-Mow. So yeah, right off the bat, the defensive core of Mega Latias, Clefable, and Heatran is terrifying. It is so hard to break, especially for our team. Our team really doesn't deal well with it. Yes, we have an Aegislash, which actually deals with the first two very well, but then he has a Heatran, which is a great switch into Aegislash. It's a phenomenal switch in all honesty. Tran or just, Fat Max HP Tran can take it on pretty well, and it can burn us through Shadow Shield with like Will-O-Wisp or something like that. And not to mention, Heatran is amazing versus us offensively. It really does just put in a ton of work versus our team. Especially spoilers being that we decided to not bring the Suicune this week, which would have been a pretty good check to it. But yeah, the combination of that with Keldeo, which is very good against us, and namely the UPBA Unbound, which I kind of just sacked to. I had to I was really scratching my head in how I wanted to approach taking on this UPBA Unbound this week, because while it is slow, it doesn't have the best speed tiers versus me. If it gets in on the right thing, it kind of just claims the Pokemon on my team. So I do have to position myself really well, or I lose a Pokemon, and every single member on this team this week is very, very important. If I lose one of them too early, our whole game plan kind of just goes down the drain. So yeah, with that being said, let's just jump into our first mon, which is going to be our Aegislash. Rocking out with a pretty specially defensive set this week. Leftovers, stance change ability, King Shield, Shadow Claw, Iron Head, Sacred Sword, 252 HP, 20 attack, 224 speed def, and 12 speed with a careful nature. So this is going to be our Mega Latias check. We are not 3-hit KO'd by no investment Shadow Ball, which is a very nice benchmark to hit. We're not 2-hit KO'd by max attack Shadow Ball, actually. And we're usually not 3-hit KO'd after lefties if we do still have our leftovers. And we are at full. This does serve as a clef check that isn't really carrying like Flamethrower or Fire Blast. I ended up deciding to go full physical just because I didn't want to lose to a Calm Mind Latias or a Calm Mind Clefable. Both could set up on Special AG pretty well, actually, because just how fat they are. And then we're running 12 speed to creep a Clef running 4 speed, so that would bring Clef, if we both hit base 80, obviously. They're just having the same base speed set. If he run 4 extra EVs in his speed, I ran 12 just to always outpace that. So yeah, that's going to be our Aegislash, very important. And next up we have a model that's going to keep our Aegislash healthy in our Sylveon. Leftovers with the Pixelate ability, Hyper Voice, Wish, Heal Bell, and Protect. 244 HP, 4 defense, 4 special attack, 244 speed def, and 12 speed. 12 speed is the same thing on Aegislash. It's the same thing on Aegislash, just to be faster than that Cleft if it's not running any speed. This investment, I believe, allows us to take. Let me see. Let me look at my notes. I'll just put them down. We're not 2-hit KO by Specs Hydro Pump. So this is our Keldeo check. We do switch in on this thing very well. Rocking out with Hyper Voice to hit it. We are walled by Heatran pretty much, but we do have some checks in the back, and we can't offensively pressure Heatran. We're just going to play very aggressive around, in all honesty. That's just kind of our best way of taking it on. I ended up going with Heal Bell over the HP ground on the Heatran because I wanted to keep my team healthy in case like our H/slash did get Will-O-Wisp burned, or one of our mons got toxic. He has a very fat team, so status coming on it is a very likely thing. So I wanted to have ways around that. Potentially. Yeah. But yeah, Heal Bell definitely helps with that, and then Wish just to keep all of our members on our team healthy. Next up, I'd say we have our biggest threat to Gray's team and our Mega Gallade. Enter Focus ability, Sword Stance, Close Combat, Send Headbutt, Ice Punch, 52 HP, 204 attack, and max speed with a Jolly Nature. His team really doesn't switch into this spell at all. I did have like major 4 moves on Syndrome, trying to come up with like the moves I wanted to use for this thing. I really wanted Knockoff for the Dusclops, which can be a pretty good check. Knockoff just for the Gligar. Knockoff items against this team was very beneficial, just overall. But I ended up going with Ice Punch just because it takes in the Mega Latias better. At +2, we actually always kill max HP Mega Latias after rocks, just how strong Gallade is, in all honesty. Running max speed to always speed tie that Mega Latias. We also outspeed stuff like the Keldeo. We outspeed everything on his team not named Crobat, which is great, and Crobat doesn't want to switch in on us necessarily unless he's making a hard read on a close combat or something like that. Otherwise, it kind of just drops. Other than that, he needs Scarfers to outspeed us. And the 52 HP EVs actually allows us to live a max special attack, Moonblast from the Clefable after rocks. If he's Life Orb max special attack, like Life Orb Magic Guard, I don't believe we always live after rocks. I don't know if it's a rule or not. I don't remember. I just figured having a little bit of HP could help in case he was just max HP, max special attack for some odd reason. But yeah, it's going to be our Gallade. Next up, we have our Hydreigon rocking out with the Chople Berry, Levitate ability, Dark Pulse, U-Turn, Roost, Toxic, 252 HP, 52 defense, 4 special attack, 84 Spadef, and 116 speed with a Timid Nature. So a bit of a funky EV spread here. This is going to be our Hoopa check, actually. We're going with a defensive Hydreigon in order to try and check that thing. We're not 2-hit KO'd by Banded Hyperspace Fairy, and we're not 3-hit KO'd by Scarf. Which is great because that move otherwise on my team has 0 switch-ins. Sylveon doesn't take very well, and using even just Zen Headbutt would definitely 2-hit KO it. And while Hoopa does get fighting coverage to hit us, we're rocking out with the Chople Berry to do that. U-turn, even if we're minus attack of nature, we do have a very, very high chance to knock out no HP Hoopa before rocks, and after rocks it pretty much always knocks him out unless he's running a ton of bulk. Toxic is a nice thing. I honestly, just for scouting, I have Toxic here for a potential likely Clef switch-in because it is one of his more better switch-ins to this thing, because this mod is actually really good versus him offensively. Otherwise he doesn't switch into it well, other than the Clef maybe. So if we can get a Toxic off on that and figure out if it is Unaware or Magic Guard. I half expect Unaware because SC Gallade is a threat versus him, and we have another mon on our team, which I'll get to in like 2 seconds, which is actually set up as well. So if I can determine whether or not that thing's Magic Guard or Unaware, that's great, and I can just U-turn out on it the following turn. So I figured that's a great way of scouting and kind of figuring out what his set is. Toxic could be nice for his other fatter things, but most likely other than that, I'm just going to be clicking Roost, Dark Pulse, and U-turn. But yeah, it's going to be Hydreigon. Next up, we have what's pretty much our win con this week in our Diggersby. Rocking out with a Silk Scarf, huge power ability, Turn, Earthquake, Agility, Swords Dance, 100 HP, 196 attack, 4 for def, 4 defense, and 204 speed with a Jolly Nature. So this spread, the attack investment 196 attack allows us to always 2-hit KO max defense Clefable with a Silk Scarf return, which is pretty nuts that max defense Clefable can be returned by can be 2-hit KO by that. So even if he is Magic Card, Unaware, if we can put him in range of that, that'd be great. This does force a lot of switches on his team, specifically things like Heatran, stuff like that. A Hoopa that's scared that we're Scarfed. If we can force a switch and get up either an Agility or Sword Stance, we're in great position because his team, not much on his team can actually OHKO Diggersby with a little bit of HP investment. The Rotomo can, the Keldeo can, and I think that's it. The rest of his team, I believe we pretty much always live a hit from. Even the Mega Latias, I think we can live a Draco from. So yeah, if we can get up to +2/+2, game's over. We win. As long as we've figured out that the Clef is Magic Guard or Unaware, and if it's Unaware, we have it in range of return. Other than that, everything just kind of dies to this thing. And if Disclops come, we need a little bit of chip on that. Sturdy Crust, all we need, obviously, to break it sturdy. But other than that, this thing does just kind of go in versus his team. But yeah, that's going to be Diggersby. And lastly, we have our Decidueye making its debut, I believe. Rock out with a Choice Scarf, long reach ability. Leaf Blade, U-Turn, Spirit Shackle, Shadow Sneak. 252 HP, 4 defense, and 252 speed with a Jolly Nature. We're rocking out with max speed just because that actually allows us to outspeed a max speed Jolly Crobat. If he does decide to run that, don't expect he will, but there's no point not to run it. This gives us a good speed control, gives us more momentum, and it forces certain advantageous switch-ins. Like I was saying, his best switch-ins to this are going to be the Clefable and the Heatran. Maybe the Heatran is great for us because that allows us to either go into our Diggersby or go into our Mega Gallade and just kind of click a button, which is great. Definitely something I really want to force on this thing is kind of forcing him into a cycle of switching out as I kind of use momentum and playing aggressively in hard doubles to kind of put myself in an advantageous situation. So I do have to play very, very aggressive this game in order to win it, in all honesty. But I think I built the team that can do it. But yeah, with that being said, quick shout outs. I did want to give a shout out to my buddy Blinn. He's actually given me a mock for every single UPBA battle so far. So I really do appreciate it. I'll probably leave him in the description below just so you can check him out. Really talented guy. He's really good in the Little Cup tier as well. And he's playing like the AVA Little Cup Wi-Fi League and stuff like that. So definitely give him a shot and check him out if you haven't done so already. But yeah, with that being said, let's jump into the battle. Alright guys, here we are with the battle. So looking at the team that Gray elected to bring, looks like he went with the Keldeo, Hoopa Unbound, Clefable, Rotom-Mow, Gligar, and Heatran. So something I noticed right off the bat, no Mega Latias and no Dusclops, which is amazing because that makes our Gallade much, much better. The only thing really standing in its way from just knocking out absolutely everything on his team is going to be the Clefable. It knocks out the Keldeo Zen Headbutt, knocks out the Hoopa with Close Combat. With a little bit of chip, it knocks out Rotom-Mow. With a little bit of chip, it knocks out Gligar. And it knocks out the Heatran, most likely, unless he's Chople. So, if we can weaken that Clef, SD Gallade looks absolutely nasty in this game. And looking at his team comp, this makes me think that he's most likely going to be Unaware this week because SD Gallade just absolutely runs through his team. If I elected to bring Poison Jab, his Clef definitely wasn't surviving a +2 Poison Jab unless it was a Kabia or something like that. But even then, I can eat one. What do you call it? Moonblast from that thing. So, definitely thinking it's probably Unaware this week. But yeah, with that being said, I'm just gonna like to lead off right away with my Mega Gallade because, like I said, it against anything else other than Clef, I just hit super, super hard right away, and I force some switches and kind of give myself a little bit of momentum right here. As we're going to send out our Mega Gallade, and we see our opponent elects to bring out their Keldeo right here. And this is great because I can just throw off his Zen Headbutt, and it's actually the move that would hit, it's our move that would hit the Clef the hardest anyways. And I am just going to get a free Mega Evolution off as he does go into his Clefable right here, and we're going to see and kind of be able to gauge how much damage this does to this thing. See what item it potentially has, if it has lefties, or if it's running a berry, or if it's running maybe even Life Orb, who knows. As we do throw off the Zen Headbutt and hope, good thing we do land, and he is running a good amount of Fizz Def because it doesn't do very much to him at all, as he does reveal the lefties right here. As I am going to pull the switch out into, I believe, my Aegislash, yeah, there we go, which is a pretty easy switch. As right here, he is going to double and make a nice play, turn 2, and go right out into his Gligar, which is a great play on his end. I definitely don't want to let my Aegislash take any unnecessary chip, even though I can definitely eat an Earthquake from this thing. I'm not doing much back to it, being that I am more defensive set, As right here, he is going to go for the Toxic and make another good play, expecting our Gallade to come back in. In all honesty, this isn't the biggest deal in the world to me, as I can kind of throw off a free Ice Punch. I don't think he'll go into his Clef, because being that he didn't elect to choose to heal up the turn before, he's actually in range of 2 Zen Headbutts at this point. So I'm going to throw off the Ice Punch and do a fat chunk to this thing. As we're going to see right here, he's going to go for the Earthquake, so he doesn't elect to get up his rocks right here, which is again great for me. He does get off a pretty sizable chunk with his Earthquake, plus the Toxic, but again, we can just kind of throw off another hit and knock this thing out. As right here, I believe I just go for a Zen Headbutt in case he wanted to get cheeky and go into his Clefable. We 2 KO'd it at that point. And yeah, down goes the Gligar, which is great because that one was actually pretty annoying for us to deal with. I didn't prep for it all that much. I didn't have any ice coverage on my team other than the Gallade. Because right here, we are getting pretty loaded in the Toxic, as right here, he's going to come in and, get him with his Clefable, as I'm going to pull the switch out into my Sylveon right here. I wasn't too worried about the Toxic just because simply because I had Heal Bell on this thing, and even though Gallade is low, and I probably won't be able to SC it all this game, it still punches holes through his teams. As right here, he goes for the Moonlight, and being that he went to Moonlight, this pretty much, in all honesty, confirms that he is unaware Clef. There's no reason to run anything but Soft Boiled if you aren't, unless he's just really trying to hard bluff the fact that he's, unaware set when he really is Magic Guard. But yeah, I really don't see that being the case. So I'm going to go for the Heal Ball, and I'm going to get my Gallade, unpoisoned, just so it can throw off a bunch more hits. As right here, I'm going to go for the Wish. Nothing this thing can do can really break through me. And again, I have Heal Bell if he has Toxic or something like that. As he goes for Leaf Storm, it does pretty much nothing in all honesty. And right here, I'm kind of just free to stay in, throw off a Hyper Voice, and gauge damage. As right here, he goes to the Foul Play, trying to catch my Gallade, which the play makes sense on his part, but I was never going to risk my Gallade, as I might have even died to a -2 Leaf Storm at that point, too. And then, again, my Gallade was fine, just, being that low, because it still outsped everything on his team. He didn't, unless he brought a Scarfer, being Scarf Hoopa. This Rotom obviously isn't Scarf, as we see in switch up moves. The Heatran might be Scarf, but I don't think that's the case. I think it much wants to switch up moves against us. The Keldeo might and the Hoopa might be, but we just do have to kind of scout that out. I don't think the Keldeo is, being that he switched out turn 1, but the Hoopa is the more likely bet for a Scarfer at this point in the game. As right here, he goes right back into his Clef. I throw up a Wish right here, and I'm going to go straight into my Aegis Slash. Maybe if he wants to Toxic or something like that. As we see right here that he goes for a Cosmic Power. And I am having nightmares of the Cosmic Power Clef that I faced at NCP against Steven, where I had to crit that thing to beat it. So right here, I am just going to not mess around with this thing at all. I'm going to go straight for an Iron Head, just kind of see how much damage it does, maybe force him into a point where he has to start recovering a bunch. As you're going to see right here, this is actually still a 2-hit KO, which is great, because he elects to not go for another Cosmic Power, and he goes for a Fire Blast, which I actually live, and get a little bit of lefties back. And being that I did about half the last one, I am just going to go for another Iron Head right here, and potentially knock him out depending on rolls and investments, stuff like that. But if I can get this thing low enough, then it really isn't a problem how much it boosted it is. So right here, he's going to pull the switch out into his Keldeo, knowing that he can resist the likely Iron Head, as we do throw that off right here and get a tiny bit off, but this shows us that he is actually a very, very bulky Keldeo as he reveals the leftovers. So that knocks another notch off the chalkboard of potential Scarfers in this game, which is great because my Gallade can now always revenge this thing if I get a free switch. As right here, I'm going to pull the switch out into my Sylveon. I'm back at full. We know he's not Spec, so I definitely am not really too KO by this thing. We have Heal Bell if he wants to go for a status move. As he goes straight for the top, the Scald does pretty much nothing, which is again great. This thing doesn't really pressure our team as long as we do have the Sylveon around. He can't really set up Calm Minds versus us. This thing doesn't have good enough recovery to do so, as we can just kind of come in through off Hyper Voices and stuff like that. As right here, he's going to pull the switch into his Heatran with his Keldeo. As right here, I'm going to pull the double out myself, expecting this switch, and go into my Hydreigon, kind of bluffing that I may be Scarf, I may be offensive, and threaten him with the Earth Power, which actually would definitely kill this thing if I was offensive. As right here, he's going to pull the switch back out into his Rotom, probably scouting for that Earth Power because he would have avoided it with the Levitate. As right here, I'm going to go for the U-turn, just grab myself a little bit of momentum, and get a free switch right into my Mega Gallade, which he is definitely in range of, even if he's max HP. we definitely do knock him out with a close combat, which is what I'm going to go for right away right here. And we are going to take out the Rotom-Mow. So that is 2 kills for our Mega Gallade. Like I said, him bringing a slower team, not bringing all of his defensive checks to it, really opens the door for this thing. As right here, he's going to go into the Hoopa. And I'm not going to risk this thing being potentially Scarf. I'm definitely going to switch out, as I could have probably knocked him out with a close combat if he wasn't, but again, I'm not going to risk that at all. I'm going to go into my full health Hydreigon, which is here to check this thing. As right here, he goes for the Hyperspace Fury. And you're going to see from this damage, he is definitely Bandit. That did way more than Scarf should have. So that gives us great information. He has no Scarf versus game, so Gallade goes in. As long as we can keep the Clef low, we can absolutely just put in a ton of work versus this team. As right here, he's going to switch out, as I believe I just go straight for the U-turn to grab myself some momentum. If he stayed in, we pretty much killed the Hoopa, which is, again, great. And we get a free switch back into our... Oh yeah, we went over Decidueye right here. Kind of threatening this thing out. Even if it is, max HP, we are going to do a ton with a Leaf Blade. He doesn't do much to us with his dual stabs. He can fish for a burn, but I don't think that's a very optimal play to kind of hope for that, as he does make a good play and switches out into his Clefable. As I go for another U-turn right here, kind of having him in the cycle of momentum, just kind of giving me free switches and free chip on stuff with U-turn. As we do go into our H-slash right here, and I believe this next turn, after we get a little bit of lefty's recovery, I believe I just go straight for a Shadow Claw, I want to say. Let's see. I'm expecting a switch into like the Heatran or the Keldeos. Yeah, he does switch out because we can definitely knock him out, being that he's not this one anymore. And he goes into his Keldeo. As right here, I'm just going to go for a nice and easy Shadow Claw, which is great. I almost clicked Secret Sword expecting the Heatran to come in, but it's looking like it's probably an offensive champ with the team comp that he brought, so he probably doesn't want to risk that and have it take a bunch of damage from my Aegislash. So right here, we do get a decent chunk off on this thing. I don't remember if I King Shield right here. I believe I do. No, I don't. I just will straight switch out. In case he wanted to sub, but even if he did sub, it's pretty much just asking to be knocked out by my Sylveon. As right here, he just go for another Scald, and we're going to see this does, again, absolutely nothing, just bounces off. Unfortunately, he does not get the burn, so we are, sitting pretty with our Sylveon right here. So I believe this next turn we can just throw up a nice fat Wish to pass into another mon on our team. Is right here, he's going to pull switch into his Clefable, as we do get the Wish off. I don't know exactly who we decide to pass it into this time, though. We'll see. As we do get a little bit of lefty's recovery. And I believe we might actually just stay in and click Hyper Voice, expecting the double on his end, because the switch out is pretty likely into our Aegislash. As right here, he does go into his Heatran. So yeah, he does predict us to go into the Aegislash, which was a good play on his part. We can throw out the Hyper Voice, which does pretty much nothing, but it does allow our Sylveon to heal up. But it is kind of nice to scout and see what play he wants to go for in that instance, just so he's less likely to make it in the future. Just to being the fact that we kind of read through that right there. Right here, I'm going to pull switch out into my Hydreigon, which is a bit risky depending on if you wanted to pop Z right here. Being the Hoopa is still around, but being that it's not Scarf, I'm not as scared of it because I have a lot to revenge it on this team. And right here, he's going to go for the Flash Cannon. It's not going to kill us. Him switching out again is pretty likely. So I am going to just roost off the damage right here and get up to a pretty healthy amount just so we can continue to check that Hoopa. We can still take a Banded Drain Punch from this range and then thread it out with a U-turn, giving us a pretty much guaranteed switch into this thing, being that he doesn't have rocks up at all at this point. And it doesn't look like his Clef has them, and I don't think his Heatran would. With the kind of set that he's running. As right here, I'm going to go for the Toxic as he doubles out into his Keldeo. My way of thinking right here was that he was probably either going to double or Cosmic Power at this point. And again, I want to play very, very aggressive in this game, just due to the nature of the matchup. And knowing that he was unaware, even if he did knock us out that turn, that just made things so much easier for my Mega Gallade to potentially win. So I am going to get the Toxic off on the Keldeo right here. As right here, he just goes for the Toxic. Actually stay in U-turn, see if he wanted to switch out again. Being that we were Chopple, we lived any hit this thing wanted to go for. As he does go for a Toxic of his own, as I do U-turn out, he was probably trying to catch the, the Sylveon. But unfortunately he does not, and we get a free switch into our Mega Gallade again, which is again amazing. And knowing that the Hoopa is in Choice Scarf, I'm not afraid to throw off Zen Headbutt anymore of him making a good play and switching into that, because I know he can outspeed it and probably knock it out with the close combat. So I am just going to go for Zen Headbutt and knock out this Keldeo right here, which is again great. That's 3 kills for Mega Gallade. It's really just ripping holes through Gray's team. And doing what it was meant to do at this point in this game. So out comes the Clefable, as I am going to pull switch out myself into my H/slash right here. We are at a pretty healthy amount right now. And we can definitely live a Fire Blast from this range. Right here, he's going to go for the Moonlight and get back up to pretty much full right here. As I elect to, I believe this next turn I did go straight for the Iron Head. I've been calling a lot of switches lately, but if he wants to go into his Heatran, so be it. We're in a pretty commanding position. If I can get a switch into my Diggersby at some point, that'd be great. So right here we are going to go for the Iron Head, and we're going to do a ton. This I wasn't really calculating too much on this thing early in the game, but it does show us that he is not fully Fist-F, which is great to know as well. As right here we're going to do a ton. We're going to get the flinch, which is suck, because I believe we were out of range of a Fire Blast, but he would have gotten a huge chunk off on us. But we do flinch him. And right here I'm going to go for the Shadow Claw, expecting him to maybe want to switch out and save this. As he goes for the Fire Blast and misses, which again really, really sucks, because we potentially would have been very, very low after that. Basically useless at that point. But yeah, now we're able to knock out this Clef on the subsequent Shadow Claw. Which again is very, very unfortunate. It might have saved him a little bit of differential. Again, I don't think it mattered in the grand scheme of things, but definitely never enjoy hacking out my opponent if I can help it. As right here, he's going to pull the switch into his Heatran. And at this point, my H/slash is useless. It loses to the other 2 members on the team, so I'm just going to leave it in and go for a Sacred Sword. As right here, he goes for the Fire MZ. And at first I was thinking, oh, maybe he just, expected me to King Shield and he wanted to go through the protecting, get a little bit of damage off. As right here, he reveals the Z Sunny Stay, which is a terrifying set versus my team. This actually honestly can bring it back versus me. With the fire boosted, the fire type boosted in the sun, and the speed boost, this thing's terrifying now. So I am going to get a huge chunk off with my Sacred Sword. And right here, I'm just going to go for a King Shield, stalling out a turn of the Sunny Day, just to kind of lower the power of his fire moves right here. As he goes for a Fire Blast, I believe, which obviously won't hit us due to the Protect. Now this next turn, I had a decision. I could have saved my H/slash because I actually lived a modest Fire Blast from full, from a Heatran outside of the sun, but I figured my best play was to just sack off this H/slash. If he missed, and then go into my Hydreigon, because I actually lived a modest Flash Cannon from the range I was at. I lived a modest Fire Blast in the sun. I know he can't pop Z. I know he probably doesn't have any coverage for me that can hit me other than those 2. So right here, he's going to go for the Fire Blast. And as I did say earlier, we definitely do live that right there. And I can go for a Dark Pulse and pick this thing off. If not, he was in range of Shadow Sneak, which I could have gone into my Decidueye and done so. But down goes the Heatran right there, which leaves it just Hoopa against the world. He can't lock into a move that can beat me. I forgot to take H/slash off the layout. Oops. But yeah, he goes into the Hoopa right here. I'm going to go for the U-turn. We're actually not going to kill, and he's going to live pretty comfortably, which shows that he had a lot of HP on his Hoopa. But yeah, we're going to go out into my Decidueye, expecting either the Gunk Shot or the Fighting move, both of which I could had a chance to live. Gunk Shot, I had a small chance to live Abandon, and then obviously I was immune to the Fire one, as he actually missed the Gunk Shot. So again, that really hurts his differential, but again, not much in the grand scheme of things, so I could just went back out to Hydreigon. We are able to U-turn and just knock this thing out and win this game with a convincing 5-0 victory. So GG's to Gray. Again, the hacks was very unfortunate. I don't know if it mattered in the grand scheme of things, but definitely unfortunate nonetheless. And we are able to pull out a 5-0 win in a very, very tough matchup, which is great. This is a great momentum swing. For me personally, I really needed this win just to kind of still have a shot at playoffs in this season and, be able to contend with the other guys in here. So I'm very glad that we could pull this one out. Next week we take on Zombie and his Portland Populios, I think is the team he's using for this league. But yeah, that's another must-win game. Again, we want to go to 2-2, not to 1-3. We kind of just basically have to go on a winning streak here at this point in the season to maximize our chances of doing well and making the playoffs. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next battle. Later.